Sup Kiplings, welcome back to Little YouTube. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Minecraft movie. As of shooting, which is April 13th, I have seen it yesterday, and I want to give my full thoughts and opinions on it. So, to begin with, I'm going to start with the spoiler-free review here. Everything I'm going to say up to now, until I say, here's the spoilers, will be spoiler-free. I don't want to, because it's still very much fresh. I don't want to interrupt anybody's experience, like how others interrupted mine. But with that being said, I have a version of Minecraft running in my room and a version of Minecraft running right here. So I hear a different song here and a different song here, because I was playing Minecraft, and this I just did for background scenery. But to get to the review, to dumb it down, nostalgia is going to play a really big part. And I say that because I grew up with Minecraft. Let me be clear here, it's my generation's, biggest, connection to anything, really. I mean, ask how many Gen Zers have played Minecraft, and you're going to get a huge answer of many, many people. Ask a couple millennials and you'll get a much smaller answer, but you'll still get a pretty significant answer. Once you get past that, that's when, the answer gets really small. But Gen Z is the majority, I would say, is what has grown up and played Minecraft all these years, and I can attest, I have been playing Minecraft since 2014, since the original console edition release back on Xbox 360, which is when I started playing it. So I've played a variation of Java for most of my life. Hey, don't turn down on me. And obviously now here, this is the Bedrock version, so that doesn't no longer exist. But that's how long I've been playing Minecraft for. So in a similar way to the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I kind of came in with not huge expectations by any stretch of the margin. I just came in expecting a fun time, one that's totally going to cater to how I feel about Minecraft or my experience with Minecraft. And with that, I would say it was a very, very solid, satisfying experience. I, of course, like many of unfortunate souls, experienced a ton of chicken jockey, Flint and Steel, I Am Steve's, throughout my entire movie experience. And this is an unfortunate aspect of the movie, is I really wanted to go see it, but I really wanted everybody to just shut up so I can watch the movie. And it was constantly people screaming the most outlandish quotes from the movie. There was moments in the movie that weren't even memes yet, and people were just screaming them because they happened in that moment. There was one particular person who wouldn't stop saying them even after or before the events had occurred. So it was getting just really annoying. And in the beginning, the experience was awful. I genuinely just wanted to walk out of the theater because I was so annoyed by how loud these people were being. And towards the middle of the movie, not as many quote moments happened, so you got a pace killing, just sit there and watch the movie, which was nice. I got to relax a bit. And then by the end, because of the hype nature of once the climax starts to come around, I didn't mind it as much. But it was still an annoyance. And it's not what I wanted from my experience. But I have to separate that from my actual experience with the movie, because of course I still enjoyed the movie. It was still a very much fun time. And I credit that to even just being alongside friends and family that I've been playing Minecraft with all my life. I went with my cousins, which we grew up playing Minecraft together. So it was great. We reminisced a little bit before we watched the movie, and we had a lot of fun watching the movie itself. And it was actually quite funny to me. There were some moments that caught me completely off guard. The death of Pigman children was not something I was expecting, let alone it being on the screen and it happening multiple times. That was a big shock, and was not expecting it. I would say that's not a spoiler because it literally just happens in the background constantly. Um, Only once does it happen in front of you. But, there was so much about it that I was just like, whoa, this is like out of left field. I told my cousin who I was sitting next to, was like, this is probably the most out of pocket movie I have watched, in terms of like translating a video game to a movie. It's just like, you think of the creativity of Minecraft and you can kind of see a lot of it in the movie, and they're creative in the ways they get away with very outlandish things, which is cool because it still feels that creativeness that Minecraft does have, especially with certain characters as well. Um, but with that being said, that was essentially my experience. It was kind of insufferable for a while, and then it got to a point where it kind of died down, then picked back up, but it wasn't nearly as annoying by the end. Um, if I wasn't so antsy to see this in theaters, I totally would have just waited for this to come out on digital and watch it then, because I would have avoided all of that. And I knew it was going to happen, and unfortunately it did, because it still has only been a week since the movie's been out, and I'm a little bummed about it, but that's not the end all be all of the movie. The only real complaint I can have, besides the annoyance, was that there were moments where they were being too loud and moments that really needed to, like, not necessarily need to focus, but there were some things that they were talking about that I had no context of because they were so loud the previous scene, and I couldn't hear anything the characters were saying. So I had a little bit of, like, they quite literally blocked my ability to just listen to the movie. With certain moments like Chicken Jockey, you don't really need to worry about what he's saying afterwards because it's a fight scene. If you just look at it, you'll get the picture. But there are certain moments, like Flint and Steel, where they were screaming like crazy, and Steve is going on an exposition on how bad the Nether is, and I didn't get the full picture because I couldn't hear anything anyone was saying, which is unfortunate. But it's not the end all be all because like many people already know what the Nether is like from playing the game. So, I just translated my experience to the movie and I was like, okay, Nether is hell, blah, 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 get the picture. With that being said, the movie itself, now I didn't expect high hopes on it. I expected it to be a fun movie, at best a decent movie, and I kind of got what I expected, which is similar to how I expected the Mario movie to be. I expected it to be a more fun movie with a more decent quality to it, and same thing delivered there. I don't have as much nostalgia for Mario as I do for other franchises, but I definitely, when I was watching it, was very, very happy to watch essentially like all the whimsy, fun, and dramaticness of Mario be put into a movie. With extremely well done animation and some, funny light comedy here and there. So to see, the whimsy, creative characterization that Minecraft itself is be translated almost perfectly to this was really, really delighting. I pretty much had like, as far as like the movie itself, I was pretty much smiling for majority of it because I was just like, it's so nice to see the way I've learned and played Minecraft all my life be translated very well to this medium. Because I'll be honest, I had no idea how they're going to translate Minecraft to a movie. I thought they were going to do something similar to like story mode, where it's kind of like an on-rail story that doesn't necessarily not explore the creativity of Minecraft, but it's on its major focus like it is in this movie, which I think is better. Not the story mode aspect, but the way they did end up doing it. I like the creativeness, and it doesn't focus too much on the real world for a while. I think the first 20, 25, 30 minutes are just in the real world. After that, it's pretty much always just in the overworld, which was nice, and I appreciate that they kept it consistent with that factor. With that being said, the movie was kind of just okay for the most part. The story was sort of just bare bones, sort of like the Mario Bros. Movie. But if you have nostalgia for Minecraft, you're gonna enjoy this experience once wholeheartedly. It's just a whole fun ride from beginning to end. But yeah, the story is just kind of barely there. The characters are also sort of barely there. It's just more of like what it's like to experience a Minecraft world. And considering that's not the Minecraft movie, it's a Minecraft movie. It's great. And if you are interested in it, I highly recommend you watch it, especially if you've played the games, if it holds a special place in your heart, or just if you have had a couple moments with some friends and you had a good time. It is a really, really fun experience, and I genuinely recommend you go watch it. So with that being said, quality-wise, I'm gonna give it a 5.5 out of 10. But actual, like, you know, as a Minecraft fan, someone who grew up with it and enjoyed it, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. So with that being said, let's jump to spoilers. Okay, spoilers. From here on out, spoilers. So we have a couple characters. I feel bad because I remember most of them except for one because she doesn't really do much, if anything, at all in the movie. We have Garrett, the garbage man. Garrison or Garrison? I think there's a paper that says Garrison, but then he says Garrison, so I don't know, equal, it's sort of... Steve! We have Steve! I looked like him when I went to the movie. We have Natalie, the sister of Henry, and the caretaker of Henry, because the mom the mom died, so she randomly moved to a town with Henry, where Garrett is, and where Steve apparently was, and where their landowner is, and also her boss, I think. I don't remember her name at all because she doesn't do really anything in the movie, which I feel bad for, because it's just she's kind of like they have sort of a development, it's like barely development for the main four, except for her. She's not really in there for really any reason besides the fact that she just shows up with Natalie. But the breakdown, and I'll get to how they get to the overworld, and then from there, I'll have like a smaller breakdown of everything because I can barely remember most of it. So it starts with Steve yearning for the mines, and he goes to the mines. He's kicked away, and then he grows up. He has a terrible business job, and he comes back to the mines, and he gets stuck in Minecraft. And he builds tons of stuff, as far as the eye can see. And then he gets captured by the piglins because he discovered the Nether. And he sends his dog with this mysterious cube, the Orb of Dominance or something like that. Which is funny because it's a cube. And he mentions it's a cube, so why is it an orb? Orbs are usually circle. Either way. He sends his dog, his trusted steed, Dennis, to the real world to hide it under his bed. And then over time, because I guess the real world and the overworld progress at the same amount of time, I guess, because Steve has like a normal beard and then he has a gray beard. Either way, over time, Steve's house gets repossessed. And all of his junk is thrown into a storage locker or storage. I don't know, I usually just call them storage. But a giant storage place. And Garrett, the garbage man Garrison, grows up as a child at the same time. He becomes the pro of one specific old video game, mimicking Billy Mitchell, except Billy Mitchell cheated at everything. And he decides, as he's old, to open a retro video game shop, which is cool. However, nobody goes. So he's down on his luck. Can't afford his rent. He got an eviction notice.
And this little bucko named Henry, who just showed up in town after his mom died, and they moved over to this random town. He shows up with a tot pizza given to him by his sister Natalie, and he gives it to Garrett for some reason. I guess the kid just didn't. He doesn't want to bring it to school, so he gives it to Garrett. And he meets up with Garrett, and then he goes to school, and he gets bullied. Sort of. I mean, it's not like bully, like he's not being punched or he's just being kind of belittled. That's really it. Then he sticks up for himself slightly, so it's not that. It's more like really, really minor bullying than it is like bully. Because it's literally just two jocks telling him that he's stupid, but he's not, because we see what he's drawing, and it's a banana with a rocket launcher, or not, a jetpack. And the guy's like, that wouldn't work in real life. And he's like, I'll prove it. And he builds it, and it works, except for the fact that they cut a wire, which I guess cut the remote controlness of it, because it still works. And it flies into a huge building off in the distance, a chip manufacturer. And it blows up the legs of a giant chip mascot, and it falls into the river. So the bullies are like, we won, but I'm like, you guys did it, because he said he can make it work, and it worked. It might have blown up something. I mean, generally, I think a lot of teenagers thought that would have been funny and cool, but no one cares, and they think they won. So I'm like, that was a little bit of poor writing. I was like, that would have been a good moment to be like, I am creative. He could have stood up to them fully, and then been like, bully plot, subplot, completely run over, but he doesn't enjoy the fact that he was bullied. That would have made sense for why he doesn't want to be here. But he gets in trouble, and he almost gets expelled by his principal, who we find out later hit a villager with a car, and is in a romantic subplot that just randomly appears throughout the movie that makes no sense, and it breaks the pace all the time, but it's really funny. And very, very sexual, which is really weird. Either way. And he almost gets expelled. And so he calls Garrett, who we didn't see him get his number, but he has it apparently, to fake being his uncle. And so Garrett does. I forgot why. And he takes him back to his place after he had just got in the storage locker of all of Steve's stuff, including the cube. And sorry, hold on, I got indigestion. And Henry grabs the cube that he finds on a shelf in the building of the retro game store, because it's just sitting there open. And he finds the note that Steve left saying, do not combine them. So what does Henry do? He combines them. And then he feels like he needs to go somewhere from Orb. And then the Garrett flips the note, and it says, any businessman who owns a failing business, don't follow the Orb. And Henry's like, I'm going to follow the Orb. So he follows the Orb, and Garrett goes with him. And then Natalie finds out that he's just out. He's gone. He's missing. So her landlord shows up. I think she calls her. And she's like, hey, can you take me to go find my little brother? And she's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I don't remember how, but they end up in the mines, just like the brother and Garrett. And they just find the portal out in the open, and nobody questions it. I've sworn anybody who's been to this mine could have questioned it at any point. But either way, they find it, and it's open. They go through. And then they're in the overworld, and then all of them get sucked in. I mean, I think Henry's the only one that was even gonna go, but then he gets sucked in too. Then everybody else who finds him like right at the same time they get there, they all get sucked in. And it's a comedic moment where Jason Momoa, Garrett's character, gets slapped in the butt, slapped in the face by a butt, which is the landlord lady, his name, character. Whoever her actress is, I'm sorry, I really hate that I can't remember her name or her actress. I feel bad. Either way, he gets on the butt, it's funny, blah, blah, blah. Then it's in midday, it's fine. They're like, where the hell are we? And then it becomes nighttime, almost immediately, because apparently the Minecraft in this world also runs on the 20-minute day-night cycle, except once it hits that 20 minutes, instead of smoothly transitioning to night, it just becomes dark immediately.
and mobs start spawning everywhere. So they're panicking, they're freaking the hell out. And then out of nowhere, Henry gets blown into a tree, and he breaks it with his head. And then he picks up a cube that's floating, and then he just realizes, I can break things and place things just by going like that and like that. And so he builds a castle. Garrett's freaking out. He fell in a hole, and I was digging through a mine. He finds the castle, and he has the cube. And he gets shot, or the cube is shot by an arrow, and he drops it in the little box it's supposed to sit in, because apparently, in the trailers it's like one thing, but in the movie it's two separate pieces. The little box it comes in broke, and then you could see in the far distance the portal that they used to enter closes. They are trapped in the overworld, and then they get rescued by I Am Steve, and then they go to Midport Village. Steve's lava chicken. They need Natalie and landlord lady try to find a map cartographer guy. They can't get him. He runs off like a wimp. So they go exploring for a map. They find Dennis at some point. Garrett, Steve, and Henry, they build some stuff. He builds some buck chuckets. And then they get attacked by piglins. They run off for Woodland Mansion. Yada, 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 the movie picks up. I'm not going to spoil all of it now, just because... Actually, wait, what am I talking about? Spoilers. You guys have already seen it. I can just spoil... What am I talking... Yeah, just spoil the whole movie. Then they go to a Redstone Mine Cave, the three trio. They get diamonds, because Jason Momoa is down on his... This is one of the first world building moments. Jason Momoa is down on his luck. He reveals that he's a loser. He can't pay anything and he needs the diamonds to just survive because he can't afford anything. And he's heartbroken, and that's why he deceived Henry and feels bad about it. Because Henry just wanted to go get the things that can leave, but Jason had a plan to go through the mine so he could get the diamonds and be rich. And Steve talks at the beginning had his heart moment with Steve where he was like, I'm doing this for Dennis, and he was like, who the hell's Dennis? And he's like, it's my dog. He doesn't say it, but somebody figure it out. And Dennis, the dog, leads Natalie and landlord lady to the others who are not the Woodland Mansion yet. But they go flying on a light truss, coming in hot. Water bucket release as they're getting attacked by piglins midair. They make it halfway, Redstone Mine after. Then they get to the Woodland Mansion. And they invade. Henry, being the smart one, thought, why don't we just build up to the floor that has the thing, break a hole in there, then take the thing. Which is pretty much any normal Minecrafter's idea, instead of going to the front door if you're really playing smart. But Steve and Jason Momoa, or Garrett, so I'm going to keep referring to me as interchangeable because it's funny. They decide to create a distraction. They come in with mushroom hats and saxophones, which both don't exist in Minecraft unless it's cosmetic. And start playing music. They're chilling out. The villagers are enjoying it. And then Henry gets chased because he gets caught because he didn't go to the right room. And then the villagers, Jason Momoa and Steve, get angry and start. They kidnap him. So Henry manages to fend off the villagers by hiding or something. I can't remember. And then he finds the little box in a random chest, but he checks every chest because there's 15,000 chests, although he didn't check the blatantly obvious chest right down the hallway, right in the middle. He finds it, but then Enderman just shows up out of nowhere, which, I play Minecraft. That doesn't usually happen in Woodland Mansion because they're usually lit up. Sorry, but doesn't make sense, especially because it's daytime in the current moment. But either way, Enderman shows up and translucifies Henry, and Henry is seeing visions of Garrett telling me he sucks. Then Herobrine or Steve, but for some reason the purple eyes didn't work, so he had white eyes. Whoa, it's Herobrine. Whoa. Then he sees Natalie. Whoa, and she's telling him that he's a terrible brother. Whoa. And then he breaks a trance because the other lady showed up for some reason. He breaks a trance and he starts smacking the crap out of the Enderman with the diamond axe that he picked up randomly somewhere. And I'm like, dude, he is murking this
Enderman, because he is just swinging randomly, and he's hitting it every single time. And he kills it and gets an Ender Pearl. Lucky drop. At the same time, Jason Momoa is fighting for his life against a chicken jockey. And almost gets Nacho Libre'd by it until Jack Black also Nacho Libre. We are back. Sorry. Got a cut there. Chicken jockey moment happens. Nacho Libre. Nacho, and then Libre. Zombie. Either way. They win. They get out. They flee. Henry flees. They're on the bridge that connects the Woodland Mansion to the weird chunk of world that doesn't exist, but it also does exist right there. And they get ambushed by piglins who aren't attacking the illagers that are currently chasing them as well. And Garrett sacrifices himself so Steve and Henry can live, and dies. Dead. So Jack Black and Henry make a run for it back to Midport Village and get knocked out in the process. I think mainly because of the bridge stuff. I think they get knocked out. Then either way, they get knocked out, and then they awaken in a mushroom house. I thought one of Steve's extra houses that he apparently seems to have plenty of camps for, because he mentioned how many different camps he's have. But no, this is a creation from the landlord lady. She found them and she built a shelter. Mainly because of Dennis. Dennis found them. Either way, they built a shelter. And Henry is okay. And Steve is totally fine. He wakes up before Henry does. And then they say, first we mine, then we craft, let's Minecraft. They come up with the plan because the village or the pillagers now have the orb of dominance. And now they're going to take over the world by building a huge obsidian structure on top of the overworld portal, so they can transform the overworld into the nether by opening it as a nether portal. I don't really know how that works. Either way, they start building, they have a portal affecting the world, and so all the team combine their efforts to build a massive army of iron golems and other unique weapons and diamond armor, full set. And they attempt to defend against the piglins, and they create a Boots of Swiftness Iron Golem, which was a little interesting, but cool dude. One of my favorite parts of the movie was the action scene between this guy and the Great Hog, who got his butt handed to him pretty quickly, but also almost killed Henry, because Henry makes a good run for the orb so he can just take it out of the thing and stop the transformation. Because apparently, while the nether was being transformed, the world became nighttime. Not because of time, but because of what's happening. And Henry makes it up. He uses his nether. He uses his end pearl that he puts in his potato launcher that he made earlier, and shoots it. And he ends up on top of the structure. Thankfully, he's building very slowly a staircase up to the thing because he's not quite there yet. But he builds it at like every block, every 10 seconds. He's like, and then he steps up. I'm like, why are you taking so long, bro? It's not slow motion. Because everything else in the background is going at full speed. And he gets shot down by the Great Hog, who has a gun on his arm for some reason. And he's falling 15 feet in the air on the verge of fall damage, death. And a ghast flies way faster than a ghast should be flying. Swoops and catches him. It's Garrett! He's alive! And he tells Henry to poke the ghast with a spear, and he won't tell him why. And it shoots 3 fireballs and destroys the orb of dominance. Or at least not destroy, but knocks it out of the little weird square that's already in. And it falls to the ground, and Natalie picks it up. And day returns, and all the piglins are starting to die because they are zombifying. Including Malgosha, which is the big main leader, and we didn't talk about her at all because she doesn't really matter that much. Actually, she's the head of the piglins, so she technically matters, but it hurts. Her backstory is, I listened to Big Step, and I wanted to dance, but everybody said I'd suck, so I became evil and wanted to destroy the world. Destroy the overworld for gold. There you go. Done. Anyway, goes on a one-on-one battle with Steve and almost actually kills Steve because he lost his diamond armor, which he broke in one hit, which makes you think either her staff is really powerful or Steve, your armor sucks. Either way. Shouldn't have enchanted it. He wasn't enchanted. Steve almost dies and then beats Malgosia, who is covered with cloth but is still also transforming into a zombified pillager, which doesn't make a lot of sense because, piglin. Which doesn't make sense because the two baby piglins behind her aren't transforming at all and they're bare in the sun. So, continuity here. And she begins to zombify and she tries to kill Steve twice. But he falls for the trick very easily. You just go like that, and it works. Talk about a dice 20, a nat 20 dice roll. Jesus. You only need one to get that right. And he tells her that only cowards destroy, and that she needs to be creative, but she can't be creative because she died. I mean, we don't see her pop into like flesh like all the other Palins that we've seen die do, but she's a zombie one, so it's probably better to die than to be that, I guess. And then the characters want to return home. Henry, Garrett, Natalie, landlord lady. But Steve makes a departing to his best boy, Dennis. Steve is allowing Dennis to go with landlord lady to be a roadside attraction. Either way. And he wishes his final wills. And Henry telling the creative Steve, you know, you can bring some of that magic to the real world. I think that was Natalie. Either way, which one of them? One of them did. And Henry goes, and Natalie goes, and Garrett goes, and we cut to the future, not the future, in the real world. And they're singing the song "I Feel Alive" from the Minecraft movie. Garrett and Steve were hosting it within the now successful retro video game store that Garrett has. And Henry and Natalie and Landlady are dancing all together in there with a bunch of other random people that just now exist. And Henry cuts to the scene where Henry is using his newfound jetpack that he, I guess, rebuilt to fly to school. I'm like, whoa, bro. And Natalie is... I don't know what Natalie was doing. I don't. Oh, she has survival mode, a new like a dojo that helps people defend themselves, but it's called survival mode, which is funny. Landlady, again, has roadside attraction with Dennis as the main star. Dennis is a dog that's squared the entire time in the real world, which is just nobody questions it whatsoever. Also, in survival mode, Natalie has a bunch of Minecraft weapons just in the background. Like, that's not weird at all, that you just make a sword in a pixelated fashion. No one questions anything. And then it cuts as Steve and Garrett sing the ending of the song, and then we play the credits, and play a single Minecraft song for the credits, which is disappointing. But we have a scene of the villager finally confessing his love to the principal, in English, because apparently love broke the barrier between their language barriers, so now she speaks villager and he speaks English. And Clemente, the long lost ex of the principal, comes in saying, "This is the guy," and then the villager pledges his love in English, and it's really, really corny and kind of gross. And then she speaks villager, and he speaks villager back at her, and then they speak English again. And she gets the little pixelated hearts where usually a baby would spawn. Which, by the way, they do this with the pandas. The pandas were eating, and there was another panda that was eating, and they got little hearts. And I was like, oh, cool. This is really weird. They're going to show it, right? And then a baby panda just... Poof. I'm like, oh, okay. Did not need to see that at all. Definitely didn't want to see it with the principal either. Because, I mean, at that point, how does that work with human and not human? I don't care. Credits go by. Post-credits happens. Steve revisits his house that he has long since abandoned. And opens the door, or knocks on the door, and a lady opens the door, looking vaguely familiar like other character that we know from the games. And says, "Hey, are you the guy that was calling about the chest?" And he was like, yeah, that was me. I can't believe it's still in here. And he's like, hi, my name is Steve. And she's like, you want to come in? And he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, oh, my name is Alex. And I'm like, a Minecraft movie 2? A Minecraft 2 movie? Minecraft movie 2? How did they get a name that sequel? Because obviously sequel baiting in some fashion there. Or not, I don't know. Maybe this is the time where Steve and Alex finally get canonically romanced. Also, this has been great this entire time. I'm sorry. The poor background here. Because I mean, everybody kind of just assumed that Steve and I'm not everybody. What am I talking about? This is just like the old headcanon as a child that a lot of people of my age had when they were children. It was that Steve and Alex were like a couple, but in reality, it was just Alex was the female version of Steve, essentially. Either way, spoilers. That's all the movie, literally. If you can tell that how simplified I did the movie, it's because the movie is that simple. If it was like a more detailed movie, it'd be a lot more longer. That being said, that's literally like the entire movie. I could even dumb it down even more simpler if I really wanted to. Natalie has to take care of her brother, has to go find her brother, save her brother, then save the whole world, build survival mode. Steve yearns for the mines, gets the mines, gets trapped, freed, meets all the other guys, save the overworld. Garrett plays video game, gets good at it, gets down on his luck, meets Henry, becomes Henry's uncle. Then Overworld, then betrays Henry by wanting to get diamonds so he can get back out of his bad luck. Then save the overworld. Oh, but nearly dies, then save the overworld. He did the water boat trick, which is funny. Landlord lady is the landlord of Natalie. Has multiple jobs. Helps Natalie get to find the overworld. Helps Natalie try to get a map. Befriends Dennis. Builds a house for Steve and I guess builds a house and Steve and Henry show up at it, and then befriends more dogs to unleash an army of dogs at the end, and then becomes an animal attraction. Not much, really. Henry gets bullied. Doesn't want to be in the town that he's at. Meets Garrett, tater tot pizza. Builds jetpack. Sorry, that was with the bullying, but that was way later. Jetpack works, but doesn't work. Gets made fun of. Almost gets expelled. Meets Garrett, or calls Garrett to come pick him up and be his uncle. Garrett happily obliges. Sorry, that doesn't result in it. Henry goes to Garrett's place, finds Order of Dominance, puts it in a box, gets dragged to Overworld, builds a house, or tower really, meets Steve, is very creative, builds a tater launcher, or tot launcher, goes with the others to find the Woodland Mansion, gets to the Redstone Cave, something redstone, I don't remember. Finds the orb, another cube or box for the orb of dominance in the Woodland Mansion. Defeats an Enderman, who Steve canonically says almost killed him a couple times. What else after that? Oh, builds a ton of army with Steve and Garrett. Uses Ender Pearl to get cube, almost dies, gets saved, then destroys the cube thingy, then leaves and builds a rocket, or sorry, jetpack, goes to school, has fun time. Did I do Steve? I did Steve, did Garrett, and Natalie, the landlady. Oh, villager and Principal almost expels Henry. Starts driving. hits a villager who just shows up because they found the overworld portal out while the other characters are coming in. Hits him with this car. The villager knows him all the car, but I don't remember. The villager goes, they go on a date for some reason. She's very attracted, almost sexually, which is really weird because there's basically sexual innuendos the entire time. It cuts back and forth from that every now and then for no reason, and then at the end there's just a mid-credit scene where the villager just pledges his love, and I'm like, this is the most underdeveloped relationship ever, and I'm all here for it because it's really funny. There you go. That's everything even more simplified. Oh, Piglins won to show the world because Boss Piglin was mistreated. Movie's a 5 out of 10, like I said earlier. Itself, nostalgia-wise, 9 out of 10, perfect. I loved it. Everything about it I loved, except for the experience. Yeah, that's my Minecraft movie review. So, thank you so much for watching this long and killing my storage video. Yeah, I don't think I haven't really reviewed many movies in the course of my YouTube career. But this one is like Mario movie awards. It's a very special place in my heart. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Also, that one guy that keeps saying there's no gameplay, it's not technically gameplay, but it's right there, bro. All right, peace out.